Time to wake up, America. Arizona Senator Jeff Flake is up for re-election in 2018. So Flake, the Flake, decided writing an anti-Trump book now would be a good campaign decision. Listen, Senator, I've been traveling the country for the swamp. When you get outside of D.C., New York, and L.A., the real people, real Americans, love President Trump. So let's talk politics for a minute, Senator. Candidate Trump won the Arizona GOP primary with 47% of the vote. That was more than double his closest competitors, Ted Cruz and John Kasich. And now the Dow is 22,000. A record 153 million Americans are employed. Neil Gorsuch is on the high court, and illegal immigration is falling like a rock. Tough to run against that, Senator, but watch out, Senator Flake. You might find a good, strong conservative in your rearview mirror coming up on you hot. P.S. Is it just a coincidence that you were born in Snowflake, Arizona? Or is it the good Lord warning us all? Come on, Arizona, McCain and Flake, I know you're more conservative than those two. And then over in South Carolina, there's old Lindsey Graham. Now, Lindsey's been a front and center anti-Trumper. Aside from pushing back on almost every Trump policy initiative, Lindsey Graham, a quote-unquote Republican, has been calling for more investigations of President Trump and Russia, even when most Americans are frankly sick of the Russia fake news story. Yet Lindsey seeks out the television cameras and smiles as he delivers his brand of anti-Trump venom. Hey, Lindsey, I just got back from South Carolina. You know what they love in South Carolina? Barbecue and Donald Trump. Now, Lindsey Graham's up in 2020, South Carolina, so stay tuned. This morning, this monologue was going to be about Republican senators getting behind Donald Trump. But I realized they just can't. Their egos are far too bloated to admit the president is succeeding. So now I'm thinking the party will be better without you. You see, senators, we real conservatives want the country to prosper, and maybe the best way for that to happen is to repeal and replace you three bad hombres. Let's make RINOs an endangered political species. I got to go to Matt Schlapp on that, because could the party be better without the RINO-type establishment Republican senators?
Look, I want to have a national party, which means that we're going to have some ideological differences. I think you specifically are saying these senators that fail to get behind the conservative platform that Trump is putting out there. It's undeniably a conservative platform, even if you have disagreements here or there. It's undeniable that if Hillary Clinton had won, she would have picked that Supreme Court opening. That alone can change a generation for America. And so I would say to these guys, Jeff Flake started out with a really strong American Conservative Union congressional rating when he was in the House. He moved to the Senate. It started to lower. Now he's in the 70s. He is really off his game. And really, I think it's inappropriate for him to say that he speaks for conservatives with this new book. Brent Bozell came out, the son of the person who helped write the first Conscience of a Conservative for Barry Goldwater. I think he's really stepped in at this time.
Yeah, he stepped in. Dom, what do your listeners think when they hear Jeff Flake, Senator Jeff Flake, writing an anti-Trump book with some really nasty things to say about the president?
They think this guy bills himself as a conservative. There might be fraud with this book. It ought to be seized. They know of him, and that's exactly to Matt's point, what they think of this guy. The second thing they think is, here's another one of these guys who went the wrong way on health care, et cetera, attacking Trump. The Democrats are in lockstep. What is it that Trump has done that's so far outside what a conservative would do? His mannerisms and all that, put that aside. The policy has been down the line conservative.
Dom, the policy, Kat. Now let's talk the politics. Flake's up next year. Is this a good idea to be writing this book in your year leading up to your election?
Well, I suppose we'll have to wait and see how that goes. I think that there are some people who came out against President Trump when he was candidate Trump, and they spent a lot of political capital on that, and now they're in a place where they're going to have to kind of keep riding that. I don't think that every time a politician disagrees with President Trump, however, that it's because of that or that they're betraying conservative principles. I think there's a lot of betrayal of conservative principles going on in the GOP right now, especially, I mean, we could not have seen that any more clearly when it comes to health care and the health care bill that they released that was an insurance bailout plan. But I think a lot of that has to do with them being in bed with special interests. It's not always about a vendetta against President Trump.
47% Trump won the GOP primary in Arizona. I'm not sure that's a good political idea to write an anti-Trump book going into your election.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with actually you and Kat. I think Kat's exactly right. There's plenty of abandoning of conservative principles to go around within the GOP. But Eric, obviously, politically risky to say the least. I'm not really sure what the long game is for Senator Flake on this because Trump's very popular. The other senator there, of course, John McCain, they really just seem to be running away from the president consistently. I don't really know how that's going to play with the base there.
Let me tell you, Mike Lee had a lot of criticisms of Donald Trump throughout the election process. He came out recently and said at the Young Americans Foundation conference and said, hey, if this is what Donald Trump is going to do, what we've seen over the last 6 months, bring it on. He's loving the conservative aspect to this agenda. So I think if you look at the policy, it's hard to make a conservative case against it.
And so what? But why is there such pushback by this establishment Republican
wing? It's what Dom said. It's not dismissive. I was going to say that it's not policy. I think it is a mannerism.
It's Trump.
It's a personal moral objection to aspects of Trump. And I care more about the policy and what America needs to get back on track.
Is Arizona, let me ask you guys very quickly around the table, is Arizona still a red state or is it going purple?
I think it's a red state. Maybe, yeah, I think it's a red state.
Red to purple.
Red to
it's
purple,
one of these
right?
states where a lot of new folks are moving down there.
But
Don't necessarily have
conservative and Trump supporter are not the same thing anymore.
Yeah, no. If you're not going to get behind Donald Trump, I think you risk losing a Republican seat on the Senate.
Dean Heller, I don't think will come back, and I think Jeff Flake is putting himself in a very vulnerable position.
Quick thought.
I mean, not all conservatives support Trump.
I do think Flake is vulnerable.